This is Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk, and you're listening to the Fantasy Footballers.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
It's Week 5. Week 5 in the NFL, Week 5 in the fantasy football world.
We did it. We made it to Week 5.
That's what you said. You hoped you could make it to Week 5.
That's all I ever want.
That's all you ever dreamed of.
Yep.
Season's over.
I'm out.
We'll miss you, Mike.
Listen, Mike, just because you're 0-4 doesn't mean the season is over.
That is the most untrue thing you've ever said in your life.
Well, that's true. Because you're, 3-1 in our league of record?
Well,
That's right.
But it is not untrue that if you out there are 0-4, your season is not over. Too many people bailing when they should still be making moves.
But
Welcome.
you do need to win this weekend if you are
welcome
0-4.
to the show. Welcome to the show. This is the Fantasy Footballers. It's Thursday, October 8th. And we are previewing week number 5. We're previewing the Thursday night football game. We have all the news and notes you need to know in the fantasy football world to help you withstand victories once again.
I can't stand those victories.
I cannot wait for the grudge match. Matt Hasselbeck versus Ryan Mallett.
I can't tell you how excited I am as an Arian Foster owner to have Andrew Luck sitting.
Yeah.
It's one of those odd fantasy, the different last week Arian couldn't get going because they got boat raced. I have my odds of that team losing goes way down without Andrew Luck.
All the reports this week of Andrew Luck was like, yeah, we're expecting him to play. They all seem to me like the NFL is saying, hey, you're Thursday night. You gotta say that you're expecting him to play, okay?
And
It
Matt
just
Hasselbeck
slowly got worse.
I heard that Hasselbeck did not get out of the hospital till this morning.
He was sick.
Oh.
And he's looking to start an NFL game. Take that, Andrew Luck.
It is in
weenie.
It's in Houston as well. It is in Houston.
I don't know how hurt he is.
Yeah, I think it's the right move because if you have a chance, you don't have a chance to beat New England without Luck next week. So you got a chance to beat Houston this week with Hasselbeck, and then you don't risk re-injury 10 more days for Andrew Luck. But the season of disappointment continues for Andrew Luck owners in fantasy. So those of you that signed Derek Carr last week to fill in for Andrew Luck might want to find another option this week as Oakland faces Denver's defense.
Cutler.
So we'll give you some streaming quarterback options. We'll talk about those. We already gave you a few earlier in the week, but we'll talk about some starts of the week today, which is my favorite section of the week. I enjoy the starts of the week section. If you want to follow the show, you can go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. You can follow us on Twitter at @theFFBallers. You can visit jointhefoot.com, our fantasy football community, where 650 plus are now a part of the madness.
Yeah, we're talking with the people. The people are talking to each other. It's a good time for everyone.
The fantasy football community.
Yeah,
There have been over 1,000 questions submitted and answered on there.
and there's exclusive stuff from the show. So if you enjoy the show, that's a nice way to support us.
So my quick question of the day deals with your personal philosophy on handcuffs. So we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but I was on a radio show yesterday, and somebody called up and they wanted to know who to drop from their bench in order to sign a quarterback for the bye week. They had Cam Newton. They didn't want to drop Cam Newton. They had Big Ben. They wanted to drop somebody off their bench. And their options were pretty much Superstar A, Superstar B, Superstar C, or D'Angelo Williams.
And was it a Le'Veon Bell owner?
And it was a Le'Veon Bell owner. And so his whole thought process was, I just can't possibly lose Le'Veon Bell's handcuff, especially when D-Will was the number one running back in the league with Le'Veon Bell out. Now, I'll let you guys speak to what you would have said. I'll tell you what I told him afterwards. But what is your philosophy on that situation and handcuffs? What would you have done?
You kind of laid out the opportunity for me. Here's what I see a handcuff as generally, and I'm talking about the average. I've got a decent running back, and he's got a decent handcuff option. They are someone you have if you have the room on your bench. Like it's an opportunity thing. I would rather have a handcuff than some, fourth wide receiver who might put up some points on a bench. And so, yeah, give me a handcuff over those guys. But if you've got a bye week option or if you've got just good guys on your bench, you've got decent players or a short bench don't waste the spots with a handcuff. It's a luxury item. That's how I see handcuffs. It's a luxury item. If you got the space on your bench, have them. If not, don't worry about it.
Now, would you agree that there are certain running backs in which it is more than a luxury item? Like a specific few?
Yeah, and at this point, come week 5, I think that those running backs are – it's not so much like the talent behind them so much as the injury nature of the current running back right now. Like, obviously, if you're a shady guy, you got to have – Carlos Williams, who now, Carlos Williams.
Keep cuffing. Handcuff the handcuff.
Booby Dixon just arrived on some of my
For me,
roster.
it's all about opportunity and quality of the backup. Like if you're
James Starks?
Yes. If you're an Eddie Lacy owner, for me, if I have 5 bench spots, one of those is James Starks. Just because I know that if I lose a running back 1 in Eddie Lacy, I'm getting a low-end running back 1 in James Starks. And which brings me to a personal point that I'm going to air on the air. I was trying to work with a member of our league who has Eddie Lacy. I made him a very small trade offer just to get him Starks because I'm the one holding Starks right now.
Oh, to get him Starks.
Yeah, of just like a minimal pick swap for me. Here, I'm going to give you your handcuff. This team would rather hold Andre Johnson and Josh Robinson on their bench than protect Eddie Lacy with James Starks.
Are you
silly.
secretly hoping for a horrible Eddie Lacy injury? To
Maybe.
teach him a lesson. I'm sorry, Eddie. Yeah, what I basically told the person who called in was similar to what you guys said. I said, if you're worried about your league mates snaking your handcuff, they probably will for a week or two until it doesn't really pay off for them. I mean, you have Starks. You might be up against it in a couple weeks where you need that bench spot, and you might just drop him. Even though
something delightful comes up, sure, I'll drop him. But my bench for me is that slot is reserved for upside.
Yeah.
So James Starks carries a huge amount.
And final point on the issue, one of the things I do enjoy doing is grabbing a handcuff or 2 on Sunday morning if I have a spot, even other guys' handcuffs.
Absolutely.
Just in case that injury happens and you end up having, Niall Davis. Well, it would have been Niall Davis last year or, Forsett when injuries happened last year.
That's one of my favorite things. Once one of your guys gets marked out, if you've got an IR spot, move him to the IR, pick up a handcuff option in case of an injury that week, and then drop him next week.
And this might be a lower level fantasy tip, but I think it's worth saying because I was thinking about this last week. We always talk about, this guy is flex worthy, so to speak, where they would rank as far as the pecking order of where we want to play them. If your guy is going on Thursday night and it's a running back, don't put them in your flex. Put them in your running back spot because you do not want to close the potential of that flex where you can play a different position. I'm just saying, like, I've had that opportunity pop up before or not the opportunity, the problem.
An injury happens to a running back.
I accidentally left a running back in my flex when clearly they should have just been playing as a running back.
Yeah.
So and that works in wide receivers too. So tonight if you're starting, T.Y. Hilton in the flex, move him to a wide receiver spot.
Yep. No reason to just those spots on your team, they don't have to be the best guys in those spots like a NFL roster. Just play smart. So
it's just a reminder.
Yeah, no, that's great. Let's go ahead and get into the news and notes.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, the big headline news is that Andrew Luck is expected to be out tonight. Let me ask you guys, how does this impact the skill position players in Indy? I'm talking Frank Gore, T.Y. Hilton, Dante Moncrief, Fleener, Allen. What are you expecting from the Hasselback offense this week? They snuck by Jacksonville, low-scoring game. I think it was 16-13.
It hurts all of them. I don't expect big things from any single skill position player there. You're going up against a good defense in Houston with a sick backup quarterback.
He's so sick.
Here's what we saw.
With the flu.
The nice thing is that this isn't the first week. So we saw what he did last week. Last week he targeted the tight end a lot. T.Y. Hilton got his targets. Andre Johnson was nowhere to be found.
His time is coming. That was his quote, not mine.
Yeah. So
Andre said that?
I'm just being patient.
So let me ask you guys, the guy that is my question mark with him being out is Frank Gore. How do you guys see Frank Gore in Houston against the Texans offense?
I think he's the safest play because he's the volume play. I mean, we're going to have to not lean on the arm as much. We have to give him the ball. So, what he does with it, I'm not sure. But he'll have opportunity.
I agree. Volume for Frank Gore should be up, and he's not my favorite play, but I still like him enough to start him.
On the other side of the ball, Vontae Davis is out. I don't see. He's not officially out, but he's out. I mean, it's Thursday Night Football. He hasn't practiced. He's still in a boot. So
I love DeAndre Hopkins this week.
I think he is back at the top of my list.
He's
again
my number
this week.
one.
He's my
week.
number 2, I think. So,
yeah. Which I don't know if we had talked about this. We clarified. Even though it is spelled N-U-K, it's still pronounced nuke.
Isn't that what I?
Yes.
That's what I actually said on the
Yes.
show. You guys made me feel stupid.
Good. Well, I'm telling you that you weren't stupid, and
All
I
right,
was the
thank
one
you.
with the stupid face.
Hey,
It's nuke.
I appreciate that. That's good to know. Every once in a while, I get those right. All right, Marshawn Lynch. What's the situation there?
Game time. Bum, bum, bum.
So speaking of handcuffs,
Yeah. Hopefully the Lynch owner, if you don't have another option, Thomas Rawls could be a decent play this week. Fred Jackson.
did he accidentally depth chart assassinate himself?
Yes, he went. The poison was too strong for Fred Jackson.
He did the mix up of the glasses. You know, when you swap the glasses
It's like
around.
the Princess Bride. He
Yeah.
thought he was immune,
Uh-huh.
and when he was playing the game, and you don't get into land wars with people from Russia. Oh, I can't remember the quote. Moving on.
You ruined it.
But yeah, he's injured, high ankle sprain, right? So Rawls is the guy to own in that situation, but Lynch is a game time decision and starting to get on fantasy owners' nerves.
Yeah,
I've started to see offers come my way from the Lynch owner in different leagues, often accompanied by words like, "When he gets back, he's gonna be a beast again."
maybe, man. That offensive line is just awful.
It has
Awful.
injury plus offensive line changes. At least some reasons to be concerned about getting that. What we expect from Lynch is to end up in the top 5 like he has for like 3 straight years. So I'm not going to doubt him if he's healthy. He's still going to be a top guy for us until he proves otherwise.
Do you try to trade him right now? Try to get value?
I don't think I can get enough value for him.
No.
But if I can, yeah, sure. I'm fine with that. Swap him out.
And he needs touchdowns. And Seattle is still ranked with the bottom for offensive touchdowns. So they're just not happening.
All right, David Johnson. David Johnson of the Cardinals is the odd man out because the Cardinals love Chris Johnson in every way. They say
They should, too.
Carson Palmer said that and by the way, he's like 5th in the league in yards right now.
Yep.
Chris Johnson. And Palmer said he picked up the offense faster than anybody's seen. And Arians is glowing about him. And so this is going to be the Chris Johnson, Andre Ellington platoon where you can start which guy, how many of them?
I'm starting Chris Johnson. I think Ellington will be relegated back to where Ellington
he's better.
really succeeds is being
But
the
not better for
auxiliary.
fantasy necessarily.
Correct.
Both of these guys, I think, will be startable after this week. This week it's still Chris Johnson, but when Andre Ellington gets all the way back, I think you're going to see a situation where Andre Ellington is succeeding enough through the air where both of them can put up points.
Yeah, probably in PPR leagues.
Did you guys see Bruce Arians' quote about David Johnson? What he had said? Because someone asked him,
I love how completely blunt he is about the situations that are in his backfield. He's the anti-John Fox.
So they asked Bruce Arians, well, what do you do when you have a 3-back? How do you get everyone work? And he said, well, it's easy. The young guy sits.
Yeah, I mean, he just put it plainly. So DJ's a stash. He's not a start. Washington, that would be
Nasty
Nate Washington and
He's
Cecil
so
Shorts.
nasty.
They're both out tonight. Who is the non-DeAndre Hopkins wide receiver to own? That would be Mumphrey. That would be Mumphrey.
Mumphrey and Sons?
Mumphrey.
No, that's an incorrect pronunciation of a band. You went wrong there.
Or an awesome nickname.
No, you want to own. I think he's actually an okay start. I have him at 29, I think, this week.
He could be.
Keith Mumphrey. Last week he had a pretty good week, and then you have 2 guys out this week with nasty Nate Washington. What did he do last week? Mumphrey had 4 catches.
2 platinum
4
albums?
catches for 4 for 56 last week. Keith Mumphrey. Jalen Strong will probably get snaps for the first time in his career, but I like Mumphrey more than.
I think there's 2 guys to start.
We've already talked too
It's
long.
going to be a low-scoring Thursday night football game, so I like Arian Foster, DeAndre Hopkins,
We've
and
talked too long about it
else.
already.
J.J. Watt, if you're an IDP.
Keith Mumphrey or Kamar Aiken?
Aiken.
All right.
for sure.
Not even
Especially if-
Deshaun Jackson back at individual drills. When he returns to the Redskins, he will be a
boom bust wide receiver 2.
okay.
Just like he always is.
Jordan Reed is not practicing. Is he going to play this week?
No.
No.
Is he going to play next week?
No.
Probably not.
Carlos,
Yeah, I saw an interesting thing on Jordan Reed. When Jordan Reed gets a concussion, he either misses the entire year or 6 weeks minimum.
well, that's not good.
Just saying of his
What
history.
what happens when he mixes a MCL sprain with it?
He starts working at Denny's.
Oh, all right. Carlos Williams has a concussion. We know about this. Boobie Dixon's the guy to own. That is not a phrase I thought I'd ever utter. He's the guy to own right now if you have to start somebody. Carlos might play, though. He might get cleared. He didn't practice, so keep an eye on Carlos Williams. Keep an eye on the news. We'll let you know tomorrow what's going on with Carlos Williams. Julius Thomas has not been cleared. He's catching passes. He's very close. I don't think he's a bad stash for a tight end needy team, especially when we talk about Jordan Reed and other guys going down. He has the physical tools and the paycheck to support some targets.
You would think he could buy some targets with that money.
He may have to. No setbacks for Big Ben, so Big Ben owners just wait.
Yeah. Well, there was reports that week 7, that's what he's targeting, and then Big Ben himself came out and said that's not true. He'll be back when he's back.
Yeah, thank you for that.
That's
did you
how
guys
Big Ben
see?
talks.
Did you guys see the? There's these Xbox commercials with all the pro players. You know, that's the one
Right.
where like Marshawn Lynch is up in the corner and he's
I've
like,
been here the whole time.
yeah. There was an extended one I saw on YouTube where the guy's explaining to Drew Brees how he needs to change all of his play calls to be more conducive to fantasy. And so it's called going deep. And so he just puts him in situations like, all right, what am I trying to do here? And Drew Brees is like, get a first down. He's like, wrong. Go deep. He's like, then he brings them all the way to the end of game. He's like, situation is you're on the 20, you're up by 45 points, you're about to take a knee. What do you do here? He's like, go deep? He's like, correct, you go deep. It was pretty entertaining, and it's kind of what we always want from our guys. So, all right, Matt Jones has not lost the trust of Jay Gruden. Who do you like more this week, Jones or Morris? All right. Thank you for that. I think Morris was close to being a start of the week. He looked good last week. Great matchup. But at the same time, you have Chris Thompson. You have
Is it? I don't think it's a great.
I love Chris Thompson.
I
this
almost
week.
had Chris Thompson as my deep start of the week.
No, that's fine.
Because New England, if they come out off of the bye week and are massacring Washington, Alfred Morris is not going to be the guy. We know that because they're going to be down by too much, and he's not the pass-catching guy. Chris Thompson's been in a lot, so I don't know who to make here.
I like Chris Thompson, like you said, is a desperation flex.
all right. Last, what do I have here? Last bit of
Chris
news. Chris Givens. Yeah, I wanted to mention it, and I have. Now, why did you say
about him?
Why did you say?
Well, hold on. Where did
hold
Chris
on.
Givens go?
Chris Givens went to the Baltimore Ravens.
There you go.
He's a deep threat. No, what I'm doing is explaining to Jason he's wrong about. He's talking about Alfred Morris and the Patriots. The Redskins don't play the Patriots. The Redskins play the Falcons. And the Falcons have a porous run defense, and they could get boat raced there too. But at the same time,
I had mistaken because the two games that I statted out as being the biggest blowouts were the New England and the Atlanta game. So both of those guys, the pass-catching backs in both situations, because I've got Joseph Randle actually as my start of the week for New England. So same exact.
Whoa!
I know. We'll argue on this.
Spoiler alert. So before we get into the forecast, we want to thank our sponsor today, Tops, and the Tops Huddle app. Look, when we were kids, we collected cards. We went to garage sales. We traded them at school. It was really the bee's knees.
You said when we were kids.
Yeah.
So sad though. Like you wish you were a kid again so you could do this.
And I say it's the bee's knees because that's not what you do anymore. You don't trade cards at school. You trade cards digitally.
What?
With the Tops Huddle app, because Huddle features officially licensed NFL digital cards. Fans collect the cards and they trade them from their favorite teams digitally. Everything is clean. You can watch your collection grow by opening packs. You still get that visceral enjoyment.
Can I still bend the corner of my card on accident? Or is that no longer?
If you have an iPhone 6, you can slightly bend it. And the app isn't just about card collecting. You can play your cards, earn points in a real-time daily fantasy-style game based on how the players perform. There's been over 300 million Topps digital packs open since 2012. For football and especially fantasy football fans, this app is a must-have. Download it for free in the App Store or the Google Play. Get 10 free packs today. Topps Huddle.
All right, speaking of apps, you've heard us talk about it on the show over and over again, you have to get the SeatGeek app. The NFL season is here. We have a bunch of great matchups, and you can get your tickets at the absolute lowest price with the easiest app available to use. So SeatGeek, you can use the promo code Footballers in the SeatGeek app right now to get a $20 rebate off your first SeatGeek purchase. We've had tweets rolling in from people using the app. It takes less than a minute to download. It is simple, and you guarantee yourself the best value on tickets to your local team's games. SeatGeek pulls in ticket options from hundreds of online ticket sailors. It's a one-stop shop for tickets. When you're on there, you see every ticket option available for that game all on one page. And they have this awesome feature called Deal Score, where it ranks every ticket on the market with a 1 to 100 value score and plots out the best deals on a color-coded map so you can easily find the best deal. So listen, to redeem your promo code and save $20 on tickets, you download the free SeatGeek app today, enter the promo code Footballers in the app, and SeatGeek will then send you $20 once you've made your first SeatGeek purchase. Every ticket purchased on SeatGeek is backed by a 100% guarantee, so you know you're getting exactly what you ordered. And you can download the free SeatGeek app and enter the promo code Footballers today. We love the SeatGeek. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and talk some Week 5 matchups.
Fantasy Forecast.
By the way, I really like that Chris Givens trade for Baltimore.
Absolutely.
Chris Givens is a great 9 runner, which that team is missing. That's really what will open things up if he can get on the field and just
I still think
burn it.
There are people that wonder if Torrey Smith was anything more than that.
Yeah.
And so it's a great value for them to get Givens, who's made a mark in that role before.
What Smith did for that offense was tremendous. It opened it up.
Exactly. So, and so speaking of which, Steve Smith, injury update.
He's missing this week. He had, I think we've now figured out that it was back fractures, or was it rib fractures?
It was rib. It turned out to be rib.
Okay.
Micro fractures is what I've heard.
But either way, that sounds like it sucks.
Steve Smith's one of the toughest people in the game. Him and Anquan Bolden, I think, would play if it were humanly possible to play and there weren't people holding them back. So it must be very painful.
It will not shock me to see Steve Smith play next week, but this week it's not going to happen.
All right, the Colts at the Texans. We've pretty much exhausted everything there is to say about this exhausting matchup.
I hope
other than start Arian Foster.
I hope you have a good pizza pie tonight, because that might be the best part of the day.
Well, come on now. NFL football.
Yeah.
It's NFL football. That's what they tell me.
I will watch it.
Where's Arian Foster in your rankings, guys?
He's got to be top 10, maybe top 5.
So we expect a full workload now? Do we expect him to take off the...
Foster is my number 2 this week.
I'll go
I believe he's my number 2 as well.
85%. I don't think it's going to be completely filled to the brim of spilling over, but it's going to be a lot.
I think at this point, too, the way their season is going, you have to, we watched Hard Knocks. You see Bill O'Brien. They have to put it into their best players' hands and just take the best shot at getting some W's. I mean, tonight is a golden
super winnable
opportunity at home against Matt Hasselbeck. All right, let's move on from there. Anything else about that game? I guess I shouldn't. You're starting Gore. You're starting Arian.
Are you starting Moncrief?
Yeah, I'm still going to start Hilton.
I'm not starting Moncrief. I'm starting Hilton.
Oh, I love Moncrief.
I would start both those guys. I think they're both.
What was Moncrief's line last week? I'm ashamed to say I did not see it.
I want to say it was like 4 for 75 and 1.
I don't think it was that high, but he was still fine. He's more of to me, his floor is higher than Hilton
because of the possession type of catches.
Possession type.
He
receiver.
was 6 for 75.
That's a good week.
Yeah. I still like Moncrief.
Okay. I just wanted to check on that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Bills facing off against the Titans. The Titans are coming off the bye, and a down week for Tyrod Taylor. So are we okay starting him this week?
Tyrod Taylor was very close. It was a funky game flow that kept him out of the end zone. I still believe in Taylor moving forward.
Well, he threw a touchdown.
But I said more. He had more touchdowns.
And he threw into Clay that got called back. Yeah, you're right. What do we do then with the running back situation in Tennessee? Because people have probably signed Antonio Andrews last week.
You said them all.
And if you saw the quote from Ken Wisenhunt, it was, "I don't care who's getting the ball. which is a very strange quote from a head coach.
But a very, very expected quote from somebody who's never been able to run the ball.
Yeah, you have no idea who's going to get the ball, and they're going up against a top rushing defense. You just don't play them. You hold on to them and hope, that something is exposed. But I can't imagine being in a situation where I've got one of those guys in my lineup and being happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would still stash Andrews for now. See if he can get anything going. Is Watkins going to play?
No. I do not believe Watkins will play. He still has not practiced. I think he's got another week off at least. So this makes Charles Clay a very good start for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I love
He's
Clay.
Sitting at, I think, 5 right now in the tight end rankings.
Yeah.
He's had a great season. And his rapport with Taylor's building and his quantity of catches. He's not just like he's not a goal line tight end.
Speaking of guys who can buy targets, Charles Clay got a hefty contract as well.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Now
9 for 111 yards last week.
Pachow!
And that was removing that 30-yard touchdown that was called back. So
I've had a lot of questions about Kendall Wright or blank this week, and a lot of people don't want to start Kendall Wright.
Start him.
I'm telling you, Kendall Wright has had 2 out of 3 great games in this offense. He's the number 1 option for Mariota, and the Bills' defense is too good against the run in general. It's going to be great against the run against Tennessee's running game. This is going to be a through the air. Kendall Wright's the underneath guy. I would expect 5 or more catches from him and the opportunity to score a touchdown because the Bills' pass D's 29th against the pass.
He's our consensus 23 this week. That puts him as a wide receiver 2.
Yeah, that's a complete start. So on the other side, Titans' defense is 6th against the pass, 19th against the run. If Carlos Williams can go, we're rolling him out without any qualms.
I'm rolling out either. If Williams is the guy, he will shoot up my rankings, or if it's Boobie Dixon, I like him a lot too.
Okay, let's move on to the Browns facing off against the Ravens. The Ravens are heavy favorites in this game. You have Josh McCown and you have Joe Flacco. Flacco will be without Steve Smith. I don't think anybody's starting Flacco this week.
He's a desperation stream.
Because he's at home.
Yeah, at home, so I don't mind it. I really like Kamar Aiken this week, and my full stream ahead is Josh McCown. I like him. Even though it's on the road for him, I'm not sure which Browns receiver is going to do it, so I'm not really keen to start any of them. I guess Benjamin if you have to, right? But I like McCown as a streamer.
What happened to that Dwayne Bowe guy you liked a lot?
He's resting, and when
he's resting with a lot of money, he's laying on his bed.
Yeah, he's actually swimming in a big bank vault of gold coins. Unlike a Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, well, he's a pretty terrible wide receiver right now.
And I'm gonna go on my weekly don't play the tight end against the Ravens watch. So Gary Barnidge, when you went and picked him up after the last 2 weeks, don't play him. He might be legit this year, but I don't like the matchup at all for the tight end.
All right, I've had a lot of questions about Duke Johnson. He's one of the biggest waiver wire pickups this past week after he had a high volume of catches last week. I like him. I had to sign him in a bunch of leagues that I'm rolling. I had to sign him in all the leagues where I have Shady McCoy but couldn't get Carlos Williams or, different injuries. Who do you start between Duke and Crowell now?
I start Duke. The snaps are starting to favor.
Standard league as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the snaps are favoring Duke Johnson. I mean, Crowell actually had a good game last week quietly if you take into his running and his catching. But Duke Johnson's he's getting the snaps. He's getting early down running work and pass work. I mean, that's where we liked Duke Johnson was his PPR value, catching the ball. And the first couple weeks, nothing. Squadoosh. But then the last 2 weeks, it has really, really picked up, including that delightful wheel route for a touchdown.
Oh, that was a great catch. Just a great catch. I like Duke as well, especially in PPR leagues. Anything else about this matchup before I move on to this next one?
Justin Forsett.
Oh, yeah.
Love him.
Yeah, and he bounced back. People should feel more confident. If you were one of the ones that bought low on him, the carry numbers were there. I think you saw pretty much all Forsett except for, some opportunities for him to get rest.
He needs to find pay dirt. That's it. I mean, if he gets in the end zone, people are talking about him as a running back 1 right now. So
he has to benefit a little bit from Smith's absence as well through the air.
That's part of why I love him so much.
Yeah, I agree. So this next matchup is the Bears at the Chiefs, and it's my...
Oh, I'm all over
Andy's
that.
almost upset of the week.
I love it.
The Chiefs are 9.5-point favorites over the Bears.
Stop.
Over the Bears. So
Stop.
I haven't done well. I don't know if I just condemned the Bears to the biggest, largest margin of defeat this week because my last two almost upsets. I might change the segment to almost, just to give another separation of accuracy. No, the past 2 weeks have been rough, but I think the Bears have an opportunity here. If Jeffery returns and Cutler had them in the game, they won the game last week. It just changes their offense. Forte is still a consistent running back. Your offense, Bennett, I don't know. What do you guys think?
They're a completely different team. If Alshon Jeffrey's out there with a healthier Jay Cutler, they are a completely different
But
team.
Vegas knows that.
Well,
Vegas still has them at 10 points.
Yeah, but one of the things Vegas will always keep in mind is what people are going to bet on. It's not just what's going to happen, but what are people betting on? And people are betting, just like Mike said, on the history of what has happened with the Chicago Bears over these first few weeks. And they're a completely different team. I've got Jay Cutler as my stream of the week, so I'm really hoping you're right here, Andy, because there's no way they win without a good game from Jay Cutler.
The Chiefs at home are a completely different team. I will agree with that. I just don't see them as near double-digit favorites. I think that's crazy. If Alshon is out, I love him. If
he's out there, not out.
Yeah, okay. If Alshon is out.
You said if he's out, you love him. I'm like, that's sad.
If he's out and he's on my opponent's team, I love him. But if he plays, he's a wide receiver 1 for me.
Are you doing the Macklin apology now, or?
We've already talked about
I'm just trying to set this up on every show.
Macklin,
Give him one more week.
Jeremy Dirty Cake Macklin he's great. He just is. It's about his opportunity.
Which has been great.
Yes.
I love the point you had on the last show where he has over 30% of the targets, where I believe Edelman is in the lead right now with 34%, and he's not far behind. So if the ball's getting thrown, now Alex Smith last week actually had a huge yardage game.
He had the most Alex Smith game.
He did. He had like 340-something yards and no touchdowns.
That's how he does it.
So
because he's not throwing the ball to Zeus.
But you'd stream him at home against the Bears this week, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would.
Okay. And you'd stream Cutler, Jason.
Yeah, I had to make that decision of Alex Smith or Jay Cutler, and I put Jay Cutler higher.
All right, we're starting Charles and Forte. Not much to talk about there. If they're not being started on your team, then,
Congratulations.
Right, you have really, really good.
You're not starting those guys either.
Barry Sanders and Eric Dickerson are in your starting lineup. Bears defense is still ranked bad against the pass in fantasy and great against the pass in regular NFL stats because they're fourth against the pass right now.
They've been giving up touchdowns through the air, but they haven't been giving up a lot of yardage and things like that. And some of that is because of, a lot of that might come from just that Cardinals game where special teams really put the Cardinals in position to get some touchdowns, easy. So
it is early. The Chiefs, on the other hand, are the worst against the pass.
Yeah, their secondary is in trouble. And my point for the Bears was they're 24th against the run, and you will often see that if a team is really, really high in one defensive area, it's because they're terrible in the other. The teams are running. They don't need to throw. You just run on the Chicago Bears.
We're going to talk Seahawks and Bengals in a second. I do want to remind everybody to check out our YouTube channel because we have started to break the show up into segments as well. So if you only have a few minutes to watch part of the show,
easily digestible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Much.
We come out much cleaner now.
Right.
We're like probiotics.
We're fibrous.
We are probiotics for your fantasy.
The most fibrous show available.
We're the brand muffin.
We're the brand muffin of the fantasy world. Jason enjoyed that.
Yeah.
All right, the Seahawks are facing the Bengals in what I think will be a great matchup in Cincinnati. The Bengals are favored. I think they should be favored. This comes down to me to one fact, and this is before the fantasy equation, but the Seahawks need to be able to score enough points to win this game.
You know who I love this week?
I want to know.
Oh, please say Jimmy Graham for some reason.
The Bengals defense.
There you go.
I love them this week. The Seattle
No
line,
Lynch, possibly.
they just the Seattle is lost. Their offense is non-existent. They won a game last week against the Lions because of one spectacular play by Russell Wilson where he was 50% sacked, shrugged out of it, dodged another sack, just threw the ball to the receiver, and the DB for Detroit bit and tried to get the pick, and instead it turned into a huge play. So it was just a miraculous play on 3 accounts. If without that, the Seattle did nothing the entire
And now
day
they
on
go on
offense
the road. They're in
against
Cincinnati.
a ridiculous defense. They are going. I see at least 4 or 5 sacks coming.
I
for the
agree.
Bengals.
I completely agree with you. And I think they'll be in a position where he has to hold the ball and he has to throw the ball.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Here's the guy that I'm really
So do
curious.
you start Wilson?
No.
So you're benching Wilson. Would you go Wilson or Alex Smith?
Alex Smith.
Really? Even with you don't think Wilson can make it up on the ground?
He might be able to. Alex Smith is closer. If you were going to ask between Russell Wilson and my super stinky garbage man stream of the week, I'm taking Josh McCown.
Okay. That would be bold.
I don't know if my rankings currently say that, but
that's a glory
check.
play right there where somebody looks against you. Oh, he's
my
starting
rankings. My rankings say that I've got Josh McCown considerably higher than Russell Wilson, who I've got. Russell Wilson I've got at 15 because this is a terrible matchup. So here's the guy that I'm really, really curious about. We talked about him yesterday. I dropped him in a couple leagues just because he's got a bad schedule for the next 2 weeks.
You dropped AJ Green?
No, Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton. So we went up against a great San Diego pass D, threw 3 touchdowns. He's shown that he's got enough weapons and enough time in the pocket. That offensive line has just completely let him have no pressure. He had no pressure on him against the Chiefs, who are a great pass rushing defense last week. So this is really this is my test of Andy Dalton this week. It's not in Seattle, but it's the great vaunted Seattle with Cam Chancellor back. What does he do this week? I cannot make out how good or bad Andy Dalton's going to be.
I think that I'm putting Dalton in the category I would have put Palmer in last week, which is on fire, at home, tough defense. So a mediocre game from Dalton, a passable game from Dalton is what I would expect. I wouldn't drop him to go stream a guy that might be in that same category. I'd rather just roll him out and see what happens. Yeah. Because they've been on fire, and I don't mind riding that. The Red Rocket.
There you go.
All right. The Rams face off against the Packers. The Packers are also heavy favorites in this game. This is another, can the Rams possibly score enough points against the Packers defense? This is in Lambeau. Am I right?
You are correct.
So this might get ugly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do we is there anybody, Gurley? Okay, give me Gurley's rundown because he had a huge week last week, but they were playing from ahead, holding on to a lead. They certainly want to give him the ball, but is this going to be something where game flow could disappoint you with Todd Gurley?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I have Todd Gurley ranked. I went this morning. We did our rankings and we stat them, but we don't really look them over until today. And I had Todd Gurley at number 5 because I believe he is that level of a talent. But then I started looking at the matchup and thinking he's going to Green Bay. Green Bay's defense has been very good this year, very balanced. They haven't given up a lot, especially at home. And like you said, Andy, I mean, you've got the best quarterback in the NFL, maybe soon to be of all time. At home, he doesn't throw picks. They're going to be up. How do you keep handing the ball off to Todd Gurley in the third and fourth quarter like the way that you did last week? So this could be a very big disappointment game. I would still play him. I would definitely. If he's on my roster, I'm putting him in. But I've got to temper expectations.
Are you chasing the points from Tavon Austin?
No.
Not in this match.
Yeah, neither am I.
So let's roll this out. Todd Gurley, Frank Gore.
I would play Frank Gore.
I would go Gurley.
Todd Gurley, Alfred Morris.
I would play Morris.
Okay. Todd Gurley.
Which tells me I need to adjust Gurley down a little bit in my rankings.
Yeah. Todd Gurley, Douglas Martin.
Ooh, I like Doug Martin.
I think I'd play Gurley over Martin.
Okay.
So
those are just 3.
No, that's good. That's good. Anybody else that we need to talk about? James Jones, you're starting him. Randle Cobb, you're starting him.
Yes.
Ty Montgomery, you're not starting him.
No.
Correct.
Okay.
I
was just checking with Jason.
And what about Richard Rodgers? I mean, I think he had 5 catches.
Totally fine if you
and a
if you need.
down.
Yeah, I'm totally fine if you need to roll him out there. He's at least the guy. And, Rodgers is going to throw it to who's open. If you saw that play, that touchdown pass, if you want to summarize Aaron Rodgers, just watch the play against the 49ers, first touchdown of the game. Clay Matthews, he's dancing around the pocket.
Clay Matthews?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Clay Matthews, rock and jock mid-team trade.
Yeah, they traded him over.
Trade.
Sorry. No, he's in the pocket against San Francisco. Pass rush is there, dancing around, flicks the wrist, finds Richard Rodgers in the back. Just gorgeous.
It was
just
amazing.
gorgeous. A lot of people in the beginning of the year thought we were, or at least, did we all have Rodgers over Luck? We did, right?
I did, yeah.
Yep.
We all did, and we talked. We had people on the show. To everybody else, it was a coin flip. On this show, it was never a coin flip.
What's
there
going
was
on
there
over
was a
there?
gap between. No, it's true. The argument we made preseason was what we see here, which is Aaron Rodgers has, since he's been a starter, has been the number 1 or number 2 quarterback every single year.
Yeah, but Jason, he lost Jordy Nelson.
Yeah.
But he lost Devontae Adams.
Oh, no. He's still Aaron Rodgers. And the point is, so.
That's more tooting Rodgers' horn. That's not tooting my horn. I mean, we can toot ours a little bit, but Rodgers is the one that deserves the credit because he just does it over and over again. And give me that on my fantasy team. If I have to not stream a quarterback, it's Rodgers or stream. That's what it is right now.
That's fair.
Or obviously Josh McCown. I'll just start Josh McCown.
I think you got to throw Tom Brady in there right now, but yeah.
No, you're right. Tom Brady's got to be there. All right. Jacksonville going to Tampa in America's game of the week. Or not. So, Winston, 7 interceptions in 4 games. Do you start the Jacksonville defense? Are they a streaming option in Tampa, or do you just avoid them? Because
I don't start them. I would start the Buccaneers defense. The Buccaneers defense pretty good. They're at home against the Jags that aren't world beaters. So I would be more willing to start Tampa's defense than Jack.
That's a good.
I agree with that.
Yeah. All right, so T.J. Yeldon, he is 3rd in the league in rushing attempts. He had 22 for over 100 yards last week. Are we fine rolling him out? I think we are.
I love Yeldon this week.
What about the running backs in Tampa? Do we like Martin? Do we like Sims? Do we start? I mean, I can't imagine starting both, so who's the guy that's going to do it?
Martin's the guy that you got to start. You look at this last week, and you look at the last several weeks. He's had over 20 carries in 2 of the 4 games, and the other, and then the game in between was 14 carries. He's getting the work, and he's looked all right. Sims could break off, something through the air as he's done, but I would much rather have the guy that's getting 15 to 20 touches.
Sims was a popular waiver signing this week. He's also been very good in pass protection. He is the 3rd down back. He's the 6th best pass protector right now in the NFL as far as graded out on Pro Football Focus. So, not saying that I disagree with you. Game flow probably says Martin in this game, but in a PPR league, if you needed to roll out Sims on a bye, I'm okay.
What's funny, I was just talking about this. The Jags and the Bucs are the epitome of the defensive split, where the Jaguars are 4th against the run, 26th against the pass. The Buccaneers are 2nd against the pass, 30th against the run.
Yeah,
because a portion of their defense is just so weak that a team can stick to that. So.
Jameis Winston, start of the week.
I love Evans. I love Vincent Jackson this week. Let's look at the.
I know. I want to talk about them too.
What?
The Jacksonville wide receivers.
Yes, Allen Hurns versus
right now, season long, Hurns has been better.
Yeah, he has.
Even though Robinson's the more heralded. So rest of season, do we expect Robinson to still be the guy?
Yeah, I still prefer Robinson, but my opinion of Hurns is really moving up.
I had that question. Somebody called in and asked about Allen Hurns. And my thought process is that when you have one of those plus cornerback matchups on Robinson, Hurns is a guy that you can really trust to get. I mean, because it's not like he didn't flash last year.
Yeah,
he had big games.
He was touchdowns. He was the Ogletree last year.
The problem is he really
Week
is the
1.
number 2. And what you brought up last week with the reason why Allen Hurns was your start of the week, whereas the week prior we were like, oh, you can't reliably start Allen Hurns. Total targets this year between those two guys, Allen Robinson has 41 and Allen Hurns only has 30. So Allen Robinson is the more talented and more targeted guy. Last week was, I think, more of a matchup play. So it's definitely Robinson who you want there.
All right, let's go ahead and get into my favorite segment of the week and who we want to start.
Starts of the week.
All right, we're going to go through our starts of the week, guys that we think are locked and loaded, ready to have big games or very good games. And I want to remind everybody, if you have a question for us, by the way, we had a mailbag show yesterday. We'll be talking mailbag some more tomorrow. In fact, we actually have a mailbag show just for people on our jointhefoot.com community, our Foot Clan members. So that is taking place later today. But if you want to get involved, go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. There is a big submit a question button on the website, and you can send us your trade questions, your waiver wire questions.
Our special Patreon video that's going up today is full frontal.
Are we doing that?
Well, we might.
We just committed on the air.
Jason is the worst.
We'll see.
What he means is that we will have video of that episode, but now no one will watch it.
Yeah, it's not full frontal nudity. It's just we're gonna have cameras that see our faces.
Nobody knows about the scar on this side of my face.
Right.
I have a horrible
Harry
scar.
Potter score.
I have a Harry Potter scar, and then I have a tattoo of Jeremy Macklin on the bottom.
Yeah.
I wanted to. Can we come up with 90 yards receiving for Macklin this week?
I'll take it.
Gotta have that.
Waterbed.
Thank you. Now I've got my obligatory Jeremy Macklin
bet of the
bet.
week.
You know, that's a good bet for what you were saying. They're going to be able to run on them all day, so they don't need to pass.
I was going with 90, but that was like the trade offer where I was going to accept 100 if he came back with it.
Oh,
but I threw 90 out there early.
I'll take
early.
it. 90 seems fair.
All right, starts of the week. Let's start with Mike. Who's your quarterback start of the week?
I'm writing in the waterbed. Go to Jason.
Okay,
right,
Jason.
I'll go. So I'm sticking with my stream of the week. Jay Cuddy. Cutler is back, so I'm starting him all the way. Cutler's back. He's
What was
healthy. He's
that?
got
You want to know what that was? That was me about to say snapback because I think of Cutler and Stafford so closely
they
together.
hold
And then I go,
hands.
oh, wait, that's not snapback.
I thought your soul had
That's
escaped
smoking.
your body.
Jay's smoking. Yeah, right there.
Smoking Jay Cuddy. So I'm sticking
Andy's
with him.
gone. All right, my quarterback start of the week is Marcus Mariota. Yes, it seems like a bad matchup. It's Buffalo, right? They have an amazing defense, right? Well, they're a run-stopping defense, and in fact, they're very bad against the pass, and I don't expect them to have any trouble stopping the Sankey, Andrews, West, McCluster cluster going on going on there. So they're at home. They're off the bye. Mariota's been very consistent. In fact, a top 12 quarterback type of consistent. So I really like you, and he's available in a ton of leagues because of the bye week. People dropped him to sign somebody else. So Marcus Mariota, I think, is a great streaming option, a great start this week.
I am going with Felipe Rivers.
Monday night
at home against Pittsburgh. Antonio Gates is back. That will be a huge lift for that passing attack, and they're playing against Pittsburgh, who the last 2 weeks have been pretty good for Pittsburgh. But I'm going with the history of the multitude of games before those last two, where Pittsburgh is an automatic QB1 start. Phillip Rivers, I think, leads the league in yardage. He has been tremendous this year, besides one game against Minnesota, which we will not speak of.
All right. Running back start of the week. Let's go kick it back to Jason. Jason, who's your start of the week here? And this is humorous because you and Mike have basically dueling starts of the week, which makes it a
Fantasy Face-Off.
I was not prepared.
We got a fantasy face-off coming here between my guy, Joseph Randle, and Mike's guy. Mike, I can't say this guy's name. You say it.
Darren McFadden.
You take him. Now we're both coming from the exact same perspective, and the perspective is this: Lance Dunbar has been an amazing pass catching back, and his knee left his body.
Oh, that was brutal.
That was a brutal.
Why do they show the replay so many times?
Because we keep watching it
Yeah,
every
that's
time.
why.
It's through my fingers on my face. I just keep watching. So here's the deal. This is a matchup that New England should be dominating off the bye, should be throwing up a lot of points. So you've got to have and you have seen that Brandon Weeden is not using his wide receivers all that much, but he threw 10 times to Lance Dunbar. So you've got first of all, a matchup in New England that's given up a lot of points to the running back position. So that's just good on a matchup basis to start the game. But as the game gets out of hand, you've got Weeden who's going to give a lot of passes to some running back. The question is, who is that new third down running back for the Cowboys, and I could see it being either, but I'm going Joseph Randle.
This is the boldest selection you've ever made in this segment, Mike, because it's one thing to select a start of the week that, this seems like sleeper start of the week.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So Darren McFadden, sell us on that.
So this is why
product.
This is why I went with McFadden. There's no running backs that I love out of nowhere besides Darren McFadden, and this is I'm referring to more of a PPR type league when I say Darren McFadden. I'm going to take the running back who has a seasons of 47 receptions, 42 receptions, 36 last year. I'm going to take that guy who has a track record and a history of being a pass catching back over Joseph Randle, who, let me look, he his rookie year, 4 last year. It just the history is on the side for me of Darren McFadden. And McFadden, if we can look through the telescope into the past, back when Darren McFadden was a spectacular fantasy performer, a lot of it was because
those were the best 3 games of my life.
Because he could catch the ball and he could make things happen when he was in space. And so that's why I'm leaning with Lance Dunbar had 10 catches 2 weeks ago. I'm
very curious to see how it shakes out, but not curious enough to make either of them my start of the week. In fact, I just flipped to the other side of the ball and selected Dion Lewis. Coming off the bye, Dallas.
I thought you were going to go with Kristen Michael.
No. Dallas that would have been great. But I don't go with practice squad type talents.
Hey,
I'm just kidding.
He's up.
Actually active.
Moving up.
Dion Lewis. Dallas is 30th against the run. Lewis has been heavily involved. He's great in PPR leagues. Dion Lewis is my start of the week. All right, wide receivers, I'm going to give you mine. It is the Alshon Jeffery / Eddie Royal start. If Jeffery goes, KC's dead last against the pass. We talked about them as our upset of the week. Jay Cutler's Jason's start of the week.
Stream. And
start.
Yeah, I apologize.
And so if Jeffrey's there, I handcuffed him in our league of record with Eddie Royal this week, because I know that the targets will be there for whoever's that top passing option. So if it's not Jeffery, I'm just going to slide Royal in there and I hope he gets some PPR numbers and a touchdown. If it isn't Royal, which I hope is not, I hope Jeffrey's back. I expect a big game from him.
And I'm going with Kamar Aiken. And last week, 5 for 77 with a touchdown. We talked about Steve Smith is out. And the feared Joe Hayden right now is looking doubtful. And that is a huge blow to the secondary of the Cleveland Browns. Joe Flacco is still there. He's still an above-average quarterback, and someone has to get the targets.
Who was the Giants receiver I started a few years ago?
Oh,
do you remember?
Ramses Barden?
Ramses Barden. This is reminding me of that situation where, somebody's
got to do it.
Nobody heard of him, and then all of a sudden Ramses Barden comes in and runs like 8 straight posts and gets 7 catches and has a good game.
And Aiken was running ahead of Brashad Perryman through most of the training camp, and then, of course, Perryman got hurt. But Kamar Aiken seems to be a guy that they have some trust in. So they're going to move forward with him, and I like him this week. The matchup is good.
Yeah, if Hayden is out, I love that.
Jason, your wide receiver start of the week is a guy that some people are worried about.
Yeah, I'm going with Jordan Matthews. He only got 3 catches for 50 yards, no touchdown last week, no touchdown the week before, less than 50 yards. So that's 2 weeks in a row under 50 yards. And the question is, has the NFL figured out how to stop the slot? Is anything going on with Philly's offense that can be good? On paper, the New Orleans matchup is not a great matchup for the wide receivers. They haven't given up a lot of points. That's a little skewed, though. One of those games was against Carolina, who has no wide receivers, and Dallas with Brandon Weeden, who doesn't throw to the wide receiver. So I think Jordan Matthews is a great bounce back. I've got no problem starting him over. There's just about no lineup I can imagine that I would not have him in, so he's my start of the week.
All right, at the tight end position, I'm going with Antonio Gates.
Yes.
He's back on the PEDs. That is...
We hope so.
No, that is the performance-enhancing defense he's facing. He's facing the Pittsburgh...
I love it.
He's facing the Pittsburgh Pirates. Oh, Steelers. That's what it is. 29th against the poor Pirate fans, by the way.
You need to preface that with incoming dad joke.
Well, it's great. It's great, right? Pittsburgh 29th against tight ends.
That's breaking news.
They can't stop people. You've got Phillip Rivers as your start of the week over there. I think Gates just rolls right into town. and rumbles for a touchdown and is a cog of that offense. We don't know what's going on with Stevie Johnson. I think Antonio Gates is a great start this week. Jason, who's your tight end?
My tight end, I talked about him last week. This is a clear, easy pick for me. It's Owen Daniels. Owen Daniels is playing against the Oakland Raiders. Just like I don't play tight ends against the Ravens, I always play the tight end against the Raiders. The Raiders have given up a touchdown or two in every single game, and if there is an NFL quarterback smart enough to take advantage of gaping holes in the defense, it's clearly going to be Peyton Manning. Owen Daniels has a touchdown in his last 2 games. He hasn't been involved that much. I've got him like
his
5
target
for 50.
numbers have gone up in every game except for the last one.
Yeah, so I think against this matchup, it's great. You've got a great quarterback, a good touchdown opportunity, and he's available in just about every league.
All right, Mike, that leaves you and your tight end of the week.
I'm going back to Charles Clay. Tennessee is in the bottom against in fantasy points against the tight ends. He had 5 catches against Miami, 9 last week against the Giants. He's spectacular. The Sammy Watkins is looking doubtful. They need playmakers up there, and Tyrod Taylor is capable of getting the job done.
Clay is still available in 50% of your leagues.
You've got to be kidding me.
So here's what you do. If you have a decent tight end on your team, you pick up Charles Clay and you trade the great guy that you've got. Andy, you did this in one of your leagues already.
I traded
Eifert. If you've
Eifert.
got Tyler Eifert, if you've got even a Greg Olsen or someone that can nab you something great, go ahead and roll Charles Clay. He's going to be great for the rest of the year, I think. And grab a great wide receiver or running back, 1 or 2.
All right, that is it for today's show. We'll be back with the other half of the Week 5 matchups tomorrow. Make sure to check us out on Twitter at the FF Ballers. You can visit us on YouTube.
Incoming Twitter Blitz tomorrow.
Oh, that is right. Tomorrow, 8 straight hours. We're answering questions on Twitter.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Don't forget to visit us on the web at www.thefantasyfootballers.com and follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers.